Hello. Hello, Shelby. So glad to have you here
Hi.
today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, yes. For our audience, we just had a lovely discussion right before hitting record. So I'm so glad to have Shelby here and hear about your story. So, where I like to begin with our guests, when you think about your life and leading up to today, what point in your life did something really shift and change for you?
I love that question. I have a couple of moments, but I would say the first big moment was it was about 3.5 years into my marriage. And I'd had the plan and the dream of what life would be, right? Like you go to school, you start a
Mhm.
career, you meet the man of your dreams, you get married, you have kids, you have like all the things of how you think that life is going to turn out. And it was kind of on that trajectory. I had went to school. I started my career at the time I was in human resources.
Mhm.
And I met a wonderful man and we got married and we had both grown up in homes of faith and it was in the
Mhm.
Christian faith. And so that was a really big part of foundationally who each of us were and within our marriage. And about 3.5 years in, he came to me and it felt like it was out of the blue for me. And he told me he didn't believe in God anymore.
Mhm.
And very, it wasn't a passive, it was a very like deep shift. Like he was always a very deep person. And so I knew he didn't take this lightly. And
Mhm.
along with that moment, he went into depression.
Mhm.
And so it kind of started a journey of unknowns because
Mhm.
suddenly the life that we had dreamt about was not what we thought it would be, and it wasn't going to go where we thought it would go. And
Mhm.
that was a really pivotal moment for when life changed.
Mhm. I know that's hard because then it's you also feeling the need to be supportive to him and then navigate life through that season and then faith. I know you mentioned you both grew up in a faith-based home, so that had to be hard too.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, because it was and I mean, I can go more into I'm sure we'll talk more about this story, but that's kind of the moment that it shifted. And, at the time, it was such a pivotal part or foundational part to who I was.
Hmm. What
Yeah.
did life look like after like realizing or when he came to you with this announcement? Like what happened from there? What were like how did you navigate that season?
Yeah. So it started with kind of just taking it one day at a time because I didn't
Hmm.
know what would happen. And he's starting to like figure out his stuff and I'm not part of that with him. Like it's his own journey that he's going through. And so it was really scary because with mental health, as
Hmm.
I'm sure you understand, is like there's thoughts of not wanting to be here anymore. There's thoughts of, like why am I here? And there was nights where I couldn't get a hold of him and
Hmm.
I'm like, did he end his life? Did he not? And
Hmm.
it was a really scary place to be. And I had a big battle in myself because I'm like, I was the good girl. I did all the
Hmm.
things right. Like I don't
Hmm.
deserve to have this happen. And then there's the pressure of like, well, have the faith and like just believe and just pray. And so like I had a really big internal battle for many years. So I'm you kind of alluded to this too, is like I'm trying to be there and show up for him, but also like work
Hmm.
through all of this within me and not like suddenly I can't see my future. I can't
Hmm.
see what it will look like. And so over the years, there was a lot of ups and downs and strife and tears and angst. And I found in looking back, I kind of just buried what I wanted.
Hmm.
And I did a lot to take care of myself. I maintained my friends. I I still went to like he stopped coming to like family gatherings and any friends. So I kind of a lot of my life started being lived like I was single.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but like at home I was here and there was a lot of strain there. And he was not happy with me because I didn't like let my faith go in that
Mm.
moment. And
Want you
so
there.
we kind of
Mm-hmm.
had this really big divide on, yes, there's a lot of things we still believe that are similar, but there's this big foundational thing that wasn't. And I just couldn't let it go at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Years later, I did have a moment. So this is another pivotal moment in my life where
Mm-hmm.
I had a moment where I realized, you know what, I don't believe the same thing I did. And it was my own journey and it was my own time. And I think that was really important for me to come to that place on my own. And
Mm-hmm.
it was about 7 years ago, actually,
Mm.
that that
Okay.
that that
That's
happened.
big.
Yeah, it was about 7 years ago. So what happened that moment with my husband, that was in 2010.
Mm-hmm.
And then the faith, it was in 2018. Um,
Okay.
so I think 2018, 2019, somewhere around there, about 7 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, so that was a really big shift that I eventually got to. And I thought perhaps at that point, maybe that would help us in our
Mm-hmm.
relationship. And it didn't. It
Mm.
didn't. It was still we deeply loved each other, and that made it really hard because we love and care about each other. We both have the belief of like, okay, like, this is the person you love, you show up for them, you still work on that relationship. And so that faith was another pivotal moment. And then another really big thing that was part of the plan was children.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
And we had always thought we would have children, but this changed everything
Yeah.
and I kind of went through, personally, I went through this journey of, at first it was like, well, he'll feel better in like 6 months, or, by my birthday, he'll be feeling better by Christmas. And it was like this constant like little, like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, by then. And I started to get older and older and well into my 30s. And it was like, I think it was around the time I was 37 that I was finally like, okay, this is our choice. Like we had never tried to have children, but it
Mm-hmm.
just didn't work for where he was at within
Mm-hmm.
himself. And so we made the really hard decision to not have children. And that was really hard
That's
because it
hard.
had always been part of my plan. And as women, like
Mm-hmm.
there's that feeling of feeling like, well, that's part of what we're here to do and our
Right.
biology. Um, and yet, like, I could have left him at the
Mm-hmm.
time, like, and been like, okay, well, I'm going to go find someone else to have kids with. But I loved him so
The
much that
love.
I didn't want to. And I I went through a grieving process.
Yeah.
So around this time, my sister got pregnant and she was having her first kid. She's younger than me. And that was the moment where I was like, okay, I've got to grieve this. I've got to. So I went through an actual like grieving process of like the loss, like feeling like it was a loss of it was the loss of a dream.
Right.
Right. But it's just like, I don't know, it almost felt like there was the loss of the child, even though I never
Mm-hmm.
knew like the children I may have had. And it was a couple years that I went through and I just let myself grieve and feel the pain of it and feel the sorrow and the depths of what that brought to me. And I'm so grateful that I did that
Mm-hmm.
because over those couple of years, it really helped me to feel okay about that decision. And
Mm-hmm.
now I'm 43 now, and I can say like I yeah, sure, there's some times where I'm like it would be great to have older kids, but I chose to take that mothering energy that I have and pour it into my nieces and nephews and be able to
Mm,
pour it into in a different way and create a bond and relationships that that are special and that help them lead better lives. And so yeah, that was a very difficult, pivotal moment is making that
mm.
decision and choosing to be
Okay with it.
okay with it.
Wow. Wow, what a story. I've seen memes or when you're scrolling social media or whatnot, I've seen the ones like grieving the children I've never had. Like I've seen people actually
Oh,
post that.
really?
So it is a whole process. If
Yeah.
it gives you any hope or whatnot, I've been seeing women online that are like well into their mid 40s still, still having children. My grandmother tells the story of how her mom had her when she thought she was in menopause, but if that
Oh,
gives you any hope.
wow. You know what? I've, my husband and I are no longer together. So
Mm,
about 3 years ago, I made the decision that I just needed to take some time and space to heal myself because I had as much as I went through that journey of grieving children, there's a lot that I had buried really deep and it was affecting my health. It was, I was losing hair, I was losing words. Like the stress had
mm,
been so deep that I stopped being able to think of words, very simple words, and there was just like a very physical reaction um and so I made the decision. So we had been married about 16 years.
wow.
And I was just like, I'd gone through so much personal growth and personal development. And I just came to the place where I was like, I need to let this go. And maybe we'll come back together. But
Hmm.
I knew I needed to make that decision. And it was interesting because the thought of like, I was 41 at the time. And
Hmm.
the thought of like, do I want children now? And I was like, no, I don't.
Mm,
I'm
you
good.
came to that. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, be the
Yeah.
rich
So,
auntie.
yeah, exactly.
I love
Still
it.
working on the rich part, but
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
very intentional, Auntie.
yes, yes. That's a good
Yeah.
way to put it. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. What a story. 16 years. Wow.
16 years, yeah. And he's a great person. Like I still love him and we still, stay in contact and you never know. I'm open to whatever life has. I just knew at the time that I had to make that tough decision to go on my own journey
Hmm.
and heal myself. So I knew that what I stepped into next was from a better, healthier place.
Hmm. Mm, what a story. My next question for you is what women were there for you during this journey? How did they support you through the journey?
Yeah, I had some great women in my life. I'm so grateful. Um, I mean, my mom was there for me, of course,
Hmm.
and she was, she struggled with the fact that I wasn't having kids. Like that was
Mm,
a really deep struggle for her. But as much as she was able to be, like she was there for me. My sister-in-law, like,
mm,
they've had their own difficult things, but they were there for my tears and my grief and my those moments of not being able to, process all of this and then friends,
mm.
some
Yeah, the
amazing friends.
community.
So on my 41st birthday, I
Hmm.
decided to have some girlfriends over.
Hmm.
And I was like, making my list of who I wanted. And I ended up having 11 women around my table
Hmm.
and knowing that there were still a few who weren't able to make it. And I was just like so blown away by these friendships and these
Hmm.
women who, in their own capacities, had helped support me through that whole journey. And
Hmm.
it it just kind of like filled my heart so much
Hmm.
because like wow. Like when
Yeah,
you
that.
think about it, to have that many women and even more who weren't there, like they aren't in the city or whatever, to like to be able to say like I have that many people that I would count on and that I would count as good friends
That's awesome.
was incredible.
Mhm.
And then I have one more um, person who it's a really interesting. So we have this family cottage in Quebec,
Mhm.
and it's been in the family for over 70 years. So my grandparents, my dad's parents bought it when my dad was about 5 years old.
Mhm.
And so he grew up going out there. I grew up like my parents, I live in so when I say Quebec, that's on the like east side of Canada. I'm on the west. And so my
Mhm.
parents would like pack me and my three siblings up, so the four of us kids, and drive us out there every summer growing up. So this place is like there's so much family heritage there.
Mhm.
And my granny would like she just loved that place. And every time growing up, she just would love on us. And she was just like this
Oh.
brilliant, caring woman. And I feel sad that I never got to really know her as a woman when I was because I was very young and I was an adult when she passed away. However, it was always these short bursts that we would be out there and I never
Mhm.
took the time to really sit and like really talk to her.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so a few summers ago, as I was going through my own journey and processing, so we have this dock, and it's the cottage is kind of in a bay, and we're at the tip of it, and we have this dock, and I
Mhm.
love dock sitting. And this one
So
morning,
peaceful.
right? Yeah. So this one morning, I went out and I was sitting and I was doing a meditation, and I was just like, it was shortly after my husband and I had separated, and I was just like bawling because I was just like, I don't know what to do. Like I feel like a mess in
Mhm.
my business. I feel like a mess in my, relationships. I feel like I'm like, I don't know what to do. And it was so fascinating because I was sitting on this chair, this Adirondack chair on the dock,
Mhm.
and I had my eyes closed. And it's like I could feel my granny coming to me. And she stood in front of me and she
Goosebumps.
held my hands. Yeah. And she never said words in this, but it was like what I felt her telling me was that I've got this. I'm stronger than I know. And she never got to do all the things that she wanted to do. She was a war
Mhm.
bride and she like it was a different time and she raised the kids, but I know that like if she had the opportunities that we have now, she would have been like a force, like such a
Mhm.
force. And she was in her own way and creating the family and the family ties and connections. And so in this meditation I was doing, she eventually like pulled me up. Like so I was on
Mhm.
my feet. And we walked on water. We
So beautiful.
right? So we walked out to the middle of the bay and she like spun me around and she's like, "Shelby, you have the world at your fingertips. You can
Oh,
do it
that's
all."
what a story. I mean, I feel a little misty-eyed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, like
beautiful.
I feel it so deeply and it's such a like a beautiful moment that I never expected, but
Hmm.
it made me realize how deep our lineage like impact that our lineage has on us. And when
Hmm.
we pause and we give ourselves those moments to really think about it and understand it, like it can be really powerful.
It can. That story is so powerful. I'm like visualizing it as you're telling it. I feel like it could make for a good scene in a movie or something. Wow, that's awesome. What did
Yeah.
I'm sure you're like, how did your mom and the family react when they heard this story? Like,
It was so I don't even remember when I think I was with my aunt. So this was my dad's mom.
hmm.
And so at one point I told my mom and then my aunt, so my dad's sister were there, and I was telling them, and my aunt was just like the goosebumps, like the tears, because
Mm.
it's, and then
I
yeah, right,
no,
you
I
feel
had them
it.
too. Yeah.
Yeah. And like such a beautiful connection to have to that lineage
Hmm.
and so like yeah, my mom was a little more quiet about it, but I like she loved my granny too and had like she knows that place is such a special place in our heart. And so it was kind of just like this interesting moment when I shared it with them, and it was
Hmm.
just like this like quiet reverence that happened to
Hmm.
like because we all like loved and respected, and my mom saw that the power that my granny had too, and so she was able to like really feel that as well.
Oh, that's beautiful. Really is. My next question for you, is there anything you want to share, like any stories or anything about your mom or your grandmother, any special stories you want to share with our audience? Things that maybe stick out to you within their, things that have happened in their lives or anything you'd like to share?
Yeah. Well,
Hmm.
my um mom was such a fierce woman. Like she loves her family,
Hmm.
and she was someone who like family first, and I think she really, and she this was passed down from like her mom and my granny as well, but it's just that importance of relationships.
Hmm.
And so with my mom, like she always, with me and my siblings, she always really reinforced for us to be friends
Mm.
and for us to love each other. And I think that that's a beautiful gift. I mean, there's so many things I could say about my mom, but I
Yes,
think that's one of the beautiful gifts that she gave to us because now there's four of us, two boys, two girls, and we can honestly say we're all friends.
that's
We
beautiful.
all love each other. And I think that importance of family and even the fact that like my mom was willing to drive across the country. So it's like a 4 day drive with four kids. Um,
When you
and
said that earlier, I was like, wait, how long would that have taken?
yeah,
Yeah,
like
wow.
I think 3.5 if you're like booking it.
Uh-huh.
And we'd usually be gone for about 5 weeks in the summer and go out to the cottage. And like, it's not an easy thing to, as much as like the cottage is a special place, you're still in someone else's kitchen, you're still in
Mm.
someone else's space. And so to have four kids with your in-laws like looking in on you, like I appreciate so much that my mom like did that, and she yeah, there's probably so much that she experienced that we didn't even notice it as kids. And so I
Hmm.
just think between that and then like her parents lived in the same city that I grew up in, and so every Friday night we went and had family dinner at my grandparents' house. And so all these things that just kind of add up to that importance of relationship and family, and that love, that kind of fierce love that we can have. And I have an interesting story I want to share about my mom
Hmm.
because it was the first time I really saw her as a woman, we'll say. And because as a kid, it's like your mom. You're like, like
Hmm.
she's your mom. She's not like your friend. And it was when I was early in my career, and she had to go. She was a nurse, and she was
Hmm.
going to this conference in Montreal. And, I was on my own. I had this like new job, and she was like, "Do you
Hmm.
want to come with me?" And I was like, "Oh, cool." So I got to go on this trip with my mom. And, we did our shopping and stuff. And then we went to I got to go to the dinner, the gala for this
Hmm.
conference. And my mom was out on the dance floor dancing. And
Oh.
I was just like, my mom's a real person. Not that I never thought she was a real person, but
Right.
like, you kind of see that free, like she's out of mom mode. And I love traveling with my parents with just me and them, or hanging out with just me and them, because
Oh,
I get
that's
to
great.
see like a different side of them than when like there's lots of people around, and it's this
Uh-huh.
fun, like, they're they're regular people.
Oh, I love that. There's this TV show I just watched. In fact, my mom and I just watched it. I can't think of the name of it, and if I think of it, I'll put it in the show notes. But the this girl, she travels back in time, and she gets to see her mom at her age, and they become best friends. It was such a great TV show. It's on Hallmark, but you made me think of that as you were sharing that story
Oh, I
because we do
love
forget
that.
that, like
I
our
love that. I think
parents.
I know the movie you're talking about. I can't think of the name either, but
Yeah.
I kind of feel like it was a maybe it was a book made into a movie.
It may have been. It seems like it would have been. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's really good though. I'll have to if I remember it later, I'll definitely share it with you to check out. But yeah,
I
I
love
love
it.
that. Oh wow. Wow. My next question for you, just it sounds like what I'm hearing and things that carried in your family is definitely the importance and value of time together and relationship. Any other things that you may have recognized in yourself? Anything that you see as a common thread in all of your family?
Hmm. Stubbornness?
That's a good one.
I don't know if that's a good good, but
I-
like we're very we're I mean, obviously kind, accommodating, all of that, but we can also like we know our mind and
Mhm,
we are strong and it's yeah, it kind of goes back to that like we take care of each other and we've
mhm,
all had different times in our lives that, we've struggled and, like going, from even for me, going from being married to on my own. And there's a struggle with that. I have my own business and it's not consistent. And just
mhm,
learning to, for me, because, I used to be able to help out others and to be the recipient of it and just to learn to accept it. And, um, I keep telling my parents, like, thank you for raising us to take care of
mhm,
each other and, be able to watch for each other, out for each other when, one person is not doing well or struggling and we can be there and help for them. So I think that's a really that stubbornness kind of comes into it of like, okay, like I'm going to fiercely protect you on this and support you and help you. And I think that that's kind of a um really big part of who we are.
mhm. It sounds like a lot of resilience in your family too. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
awesome. Awesome,
Yeah.
awesome. Um, any traditions that your family carries? It sounds like I'm hearing traveling. Any other special traditions in your family?
It's funny, we were talking about this recently at Christmas. So it's the silliest tradition, and we laugh about it, but we still do it for the kids in our lives. But my dad had this thing where at Christmas, on Christmas
Mhm.
Eve, we would like they had a real fireplace with the fire, like a wood burning fireplace, I guess.
Mhm.
Um, and we would write out our wish list to Santa. And then we would crumple it up and we would put it in the fire, and supposedly it would go up and smoke, and Santa could read it so he knows what we want. And it was so funny because as kids, like this is an important part of it, right? Like this is how
Yeah.
Santa knows. And then once we got older, my mom said that was the most stressful part of Christmas because we would write new things on our list that we hadn't written before. And it would
Oh
stress
God.
her out. But it's one of those things that we, even becoming adults and like watching the kids, it's one of those traditions that just kind of feels, it's silly, but it feels special because it's something that we've all done our whole lives. And so yeah, that's one of the fun traditions that we have.
I love that. That's cute. Yeah, I'm just picturing that. That's another thing I'm just visualizing being by the fireplace with your nieces. I think your niece
Yeah.
and nephew there. That's so
Yeah.
sweet. I love it. Awesome,
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. It's
I
so
love
much
it.
fun. I mean, we have probably a lot of other ones, but that's one that just recently, because we had the holidays that I'm thinking
Mhm.
about.
I love it. My next question for you, when you think about yourself or the woman in your life, what things in your life, and I'm thinking about your story specifically, but if you have a story of your family member too, that works. But any situations where you've seen family members take something and really just take those trials and turn it into gold?
Yeah. Um, Definitely my story. Like
Hmm.
I think that that's um I mean, we all have it, right? Like I think I can
Yes.
think of like my sister went through a really, I'm not going to share the details because that's her story, but she went through something really um traumatic in a relationship. And then so seeing her resilience in that was incredible. And that was shortly before everything started for me, or maybe around the same time. And we often talk about like, we were the good girls. We did it right. Like, how did we end up with this? Hers was a very quick thing, and then mine it was a very long thing. But I think it's I even think about my mom, like she, again, not going into her story, like she showed a lot of resilience in everything she did. My granny, like from the cottage, she
Hmm.
was a war bride. She knew my grandfather 3 weeks when they got married, and then moved to a
Wow.
whole new country and had to adjust, and like her resilience was incredible. And to see the home she built, and the family and the life that she built and the legacy that she built. Um yeah, so I think I feel like in the story that I went through it, I had a lot of good examples of resilience. And one
Hmm.
of the biggest things though was that I was really, and I don't know that I can say it was done or not done in the past, but I know my mom went through a lot of things that she kept silent about, that
Hmm.
she didn't tell. I knew about it because, I'm the oldest daughter, and so I
Hmm.
saw stuff. But um, one of the things that I was like, as I was going through what I was going through, I was like, I'm not going to keep quiet about it. For as much as I
Hmm.
bottled things up, I was
Hmm.
like, I'm not going to keep quiet about this because, when as a woman and, loving a man who has mental health concerns and is, so you spend that time being like, you go leave the house and you're like, is this the last time I'm going to see him? And like, I lived with that for 12 years. And,
Wow.
I think about I talked about it. I never kept it silent because to me, it's like I'm not the only one. And if
Hmm.
I don't talk about it and other people don't talk about it, then we just suffer in silence.
And it
And
manifests. Hmm.
yeah, and we need that community. We need those people around us. And, it took me a long time to even be okay sharing these stories
Hmm.
publicly. But I really feel like we all go through things, and it doesn't minimize what any of us go through, but that resilience. And I'm proud of myself for, because I could have caved. I could have just
Hmm.
lost myself. I could have gone into my own depression. And I think a lot of it is I seeing the strength of the women who came before me, and the women I know now really helped me through that journey and through that resilience and through that resolve to continue to get up every day and continue to fight, so to speak,
Hmm.
and to believe that something beautiful can come out of it.
That's beautiful. I love it. Is the work you do today at all inspired by your story and the things you've gone through? I know you're a stylist. Eh,
Yes,
Is
yes.
it? I'm curious. Hmm.
Yeah, so it is. It is it and it isn't. But it is in the sense that like as a stylist, so I started my business 9 years ago and I'd been
Hmm.
laid off from the corporate world, another
Hmm.
pivotal moment.
Oh.
Um and it was a beautiful opportunity that was given to me because I'd
Hmm.
known I didn't want to stay in that world, but I didn't have the courage to get rid of those golden handcuffs of the good pay, the good benefits, and all of that. And when I left and I thought about, well, what do I want to do? I've always loved clothing in the sense of like what it communicates. And
Hmm.
I really thought about it and like talked to some of my like life advisors, I guess you could call them. And it
Hmm.
leaned to do something in style. And so I started this business as a way to um, help people to learn how to express themselves and who they are
Mm-hmm.
through what they wear.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say, like, that's really what has become with my business. It's this inside out approach to what we wear and who we are. And part of it is in terms of like my experiences is when we feel good in what we wear, then it shifts our mindset. It shifts how we go about the day. And when you're going through something really hard, is wearing clothes that make you feel good is just
Mm-hmm.
that little thing that can elevate your confidence and make you feel like you're worth it. And I will say in my whole journey, continuing to show up and to wear clothes that I felt good in, it reminded me that I'm worth it and that I
Mm-hmm.
deserve it. And so that's when I see in with the people that I work with in the style business is when you align who you are with what you wear, sometimes you never learn. Like, where do you learn that if you don't have a mom that is teaching you
Mm-hmm.
that or someone or that curiosity about it? And I've witnessed people's lives changed because they allowed themselves to express who they are through their
Mm.
clothes.
I
And
love
I
that.
believe the most important person our clothes are communicating to is ourselves.
Mm-hmm. So
And when
true.
yeah, like if we wear
Mm-hmm.
something that feels like someone else, then there's that misalignment. So it's creating that confidence in who you
Yes.
are and your choices. And, I'm really good at being able to create that connection for people of like and draw out who they are. And I can see, like as I work with them, like that shift in them and that like the smile that they get when they have something on that really feels like them. So
I
it's
love it.
yeah, I love that inside out. I've done a lot of personal growth and development, and so I developed a program called Authentic You, and it's all about that internal journey, which kind of is like this like beautiful tie-in to that as well. And so it ended up I have like two businesses, one around that one as well. But yeah, the style business it is about resilience.
Yeah,
I feel
no,
like
it
I've had a
is.
few insights in this conversation about like, you know what? It is very much
It
about
is.
that. Yeah.
It is. It really does help with your confidence too. And we all know you need that confidence in the workforce no matter what you do. And like if you look good, you feel good and you'll do well
Yeah.
in whatever it is that
Yeah.
you're out there doing. So I love that. Oh, that's
Yeah,
great.
exactly.
Oh, that's beautiful. My next question for you as we close here too is when we think about like when you think about one day looking back, what do you want to be remembered for? And then what words of wisdom would you impart to the our next generation?
Mm. I want to be known for when people are around me,
Hmm.
they feel seen and they feel like they leave every interaction with a sense of increase.
Mm, beautiful.
And the little bit of wisdom is trust your intuition. Oftentimes, we're made to feel that, especially as women, is like we're kind of given these parameters of what's acceptable and what's not. And I've found, even in my style business, is a lot of people have some really good intuition. And it's learning to trust that and to
Hmm.
know that it's there for a reason.
I love that. So beautiful. Yes. Are you familiar with Carolyn Mace and her work? Carolyn
No.
May. I'll have to share her with you afterwards. She's
Yeah.
amazing and she speaks a lot about that. So I love that.
Okay.
That's
I love
beautiful.
it.
Hmm.
I
Well, you
love
have a
it.
great presence, I have to say. So I'm excited for you and your journey.
Thank you.
Hmm.
I appreciate that. I've loved this conversation. You've asked great questions.
This is fun. One last thing, if our listeners wanted to keep up with you at all, where can they find you?
You can find me so on social media, you can find me at Shelby Eloria on Instagram and Facebook, and on LinkedIn, I'm Shelby Eloria as well. And then you can find my businesses from there, but that's the easiest way to
Awesome.
find me.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, definitely be sure to include that information in the show notes. Thank you so much
Amazing.
for today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thanks for everyone for listening.
Yes, thank you.